Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us this evening. We're just going to wait a minute or two longer while we give everyone the chance to sign on. So just bear with us for a moment and we'll get started soon. Seeing some familiar names in the attendee list, so that's always good to see. Welcome, guys. All right. Well, it looks like that number has steadied, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. So hello and welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. Just note that we are recording this webinar, so if you do need to log out before the end and miss anything, I'll be sending out the recording hopefully towards the end of the week, if not early next week, for you to listen back to on your own time. So without further ado, we'll get started with some introductions. My name is Hannah Campbell, and I'm Senior Assistant Director of Admission here at MCPHS. I primarily work with students that are applying to our Doctor of Optometry program. I am also joined here with one of our faculty members who will allow to introduce himself.
Hi, I'm Professor Dr. Larry Bache. I'm also the Associate Dean for Research here at MCPHS, and I welcome you. Glad to see you and hope you get the information you need.
And we are also joined by two of our second year students. We'll start with Dhruvi.
Hello, everyone. My name is Dhruvi. I'm currently in Doctor of Optometry program in my second year, and I'm from Alberta, Canada. So hello to my fellow Canadians.
And also Dalasha.
Hi everyone, my name is Dalasha and I'm also a second year optometry student and also from Alberta, Canada. It's nice to see everyone today.
Awesome. We're pleased to be here to talk to you all about the School of Optometry here at Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. And during this session, we'll talk a bit about the university as well as our optometry program, of course, and how you can apply. And then we're going to finish up with a Q&A session at the end. So if you do happen to have any final questions, you're able to submit them in the Q&A box at the corner of your screen for us to answer at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, let's get going. So starting us off with just some basic information about MCPHS. We are, of course, a healthcare specific university given our name. We have over 100 programs in healthcare and the health sciences, but that wasn't always the case. We actually started as just a pharmacy school back in 1823. And over a 200-year span, we have grown pretty significantly to now have over 100 programs in a variety of different areas of healthcare, including optometry. We do have a bunch of unique faculty members from all sorts of different areas that some are active providers in their field. So with that, they're able to stay up to date on the current healthcare trends and apply that learning back into the classroom for students. Additionally, the students around you are working towards other healthcare professions, so you will have plenty of opportunities to get acquainted with them through different social activities. You'll end up learning a lot about different healthcare professions before you even enter the field. So we now have over 8,000 students between our 3 physical campuses and our online branch, and we do really pride ourselves on maintaining some clinical affiliations with some of the leading medical institutions in the nation. So when it does come time to choosing your externship sites, you're really going to have no shortage of options. So although we're focused within the Northeast, being a New England-based program, we do have externship sites that are available as far west as California and even rural Alaska, and as far south as Texas and Florida. So you'll work with a clinical coordinator on those sites, and they will definitely take your preferences into consideration. So here's just a little bit more information about our various locations here. So we did start as that pharmacy school in Boston 200 years ago, but these days Boston is more so our undergraduate campus. And then we expanded to Worcester and Manchester, New Hampshire in the early 2000s. Our Worcester and Manchester campuses are our professional phased programs. So it's a mostly graduate level population that attends those two campuses. And with that, students are working in accelerated programs strictly in professional phases. And we do give you the opportunity to collaborate through different interdisciplinary education opportunities. And additionally, we do have a robust catalog of online programs where students can take advantage of like numerous master's degrees, like a Master of Public Health or a degree in healthcare business that are really great complementary degrees for your future career. But we're going to be talking a little bit more about our Worcester campus today. That is how you pronounce that word, is Worcester. If you do talk to a local around here, you might hear it referred to as Worcester, trading the ER for an AH, as the Boston accent often allows. But you know, either variation is fine with us. We are just about 45 minutes outside of the city of Boston, so still very much so the metropolitan Boston area. And it is really a location where you're going to find healthcare right at your fingertips. We have St. Vincent's Hospital just visible from our front steps, and even UMass Chan Medical School just down the street from us. And we have a great partnership with them as they have an ophthalmology school, and we often refer some of our more complex patient cases over to them, as well as collaborated and various research projects as well. Worcester is the second largest city in New England, and it is home to 11 other colleges and universities. So as you can kind of see from this picture here, our MCPHS student body is always down in their white coats. So it's very easy to pick us out of a crowd there. But there is also a lot of fun stuff to do in the city as a student. But I will kind of pass that over to some of our panelists today to kind of share with you about their experiences in the city. So let's start with Dhruvi and Dalasha. What do you guys like to do in the city when you have some free time?
So for me, Booster, even though it's small city, there are so many things to explore. Like for me, I really love games, so we go down to like Apex Entertainment and like escape rooms and just like explore restaurants as well. Because even like as booster campuses just walk from like different campus buildings, there are so many restaurants on the way. So every weekend we just kind of like go out and check different cuisines.
I agree with whatever she just said because we're together all the time. But yeah, whatever she said, like food, cuisine, there's a lot to explore in Worcester, even though it's a small city. There's lots of really cool bars if like you're into exploring that kind of stuff. And we have a free play arcade 10 steps from the main MCPHS building. So that's a pretty popular attraction as well. But there's plenty of things to do, and if anything, drive to Boston. So yeah, tons to do around here.
That's always the number one answer I get from our students because, you know, fact of the matter is they don't have a lot of free time, but they do have to eat food at some point, and we really are a foodie city. A lot of that is because we're such a diverse city. There are actually over 30 languages spoken in the city of Worcester, and we are a sanctuary city, so there is a lot of refugees and immigrants who find themselves here. And with that, they bring a lot of great cuisine. So you get to try your fair share of different options while you're here with us. But there are a lot of sporting events that take place in the city, such as the Worcester Red Sox, as well as the Worcester Railers hockey team. We have a Broadway theater, as well as a symphony orchestra, and even a lot of touring artists and shows that come through. So we're in the downtown area, which is really close to, like, walkable to all of those venues. So if you happen to have some free time to catch a show, there's plenty that come through our city throughout the whole year. Now, I'd love to bring it over to Dr. Beish, because you are also, I guess, relatively new to the city as of the last few years. I know that you've really grown fond of Worcester. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you've enjoyed about it so far?
Well, my wife and I are both into the arts. In fact, she's a concert pianist and a composer. And when we moved to Worcester, I had to calm her down and say, look, you know, we can live in Worcester and Boston is just, not far away. And when we want to do something, we can go to Boston. Well, it turned out that we've been to Boston in 8 years about a handful of times. This city has everything you could ever want. And I would also add to the folks that have already spoken that it's easy to get out of the city. In 5 minutes, you're in the country. In 25 minutes, you can be on top of Mount Wachusett, either for eagle watching or skiing. There's trails, nature trails, wildlife sanctuaries, a lot of great biking around here. It's really kind of like Disneyland, especially when it's warm, and it's a great place to live. I'd planned to live here for a short time, and it turned out that we love this place, and we moved here permanently, and we're very happy here. It's a very easy city. You can really breathe easy here.
Absolutely. And New England is a great place to put down your roots. Like Dr. Bache said, a lot of hiking opportunities, biking. That's where you find me most of the time. Love Mount Wachusett. You can probably find me there quite regularly doing some hiking with my dog. But enough about that. We also have on-campus housing that is a unique opportunity for our students, specifically for those who are on our Worcester campus. Again, we are mostly a graduate level population, so our housing is designed more for the graduate level student. So with that, no matter where you choose to live on campus, you will have your own room. You won't have to share a bedroom with any other students under any circumstances. You have your own privacy, but you might just have to share a kitchen and living room space and bathroom spaces with other students, just depending on which style of accommodation you choose. But we do have 5 different residential options that are available, ranging from like studios that are more on the luxurious side, all the way through more economical options, such as a 6-bedroom apartment. So there's a wide variety of price points there for you, and hopefully you can find something that suits your interest. But I'd love to, again, ask our student panelists how they've enjoyed living on campus, as I know one of you is an RA, and you both happen to live in a very convenient spot on campus as well.
I'm the RA that she speaks of. I'm the RA of the main our MCPHS building that has all of our classes and labs and things like that. So that is essentially attached to a residential tower that is about 7 floors of residence, and it features. It's essentially a hotel that they transferred into a living space for students. So it looks like exactly a hotel you would expect to look like. So you have your own bathroom, you have your own quite spacious studio, I'd say. Some of them are furnished, so you have the hardwood floors, no carpets. The only drawback of this building is that there's no kitchen in your own space, but there is a communal kitchen that is pretty clean and pretty empty most of the time. I know that Dhruvi has lived in one other building except for this one, so maybe she can talk about that.
Yeah, so I actually currently live in the same building as Talasha mentioned, but previously in my first year, I used to live in a building called Foster, which is about 10 minutes walk from this building right here. The walk itself, it was a very nice opportunity to just get out and explore the area as well. And talking about the area, it's very safe because the police station is right in front of the campus as well. So yeah, it's enjoying the weather, whether it's cold, hot, just the walk itself, I personally really liked.
Great. That's a great point too. Yes, although we are an urban campus, we are in a very secure part of the city. So you can feel rest assured at that, as well as we have our own public safety team on campus and Securitas that staff the front desks of the buildings. So you'll be well taken care of here. So talking a little bit more about our community, this is kind of a snapshot of all the different programs that take place here on our Worcester campus. You'll notice that we do have a couple of bachelor's degree programs, which these students typically have a bachelor's degree prior to entering, so that's more of a post-bac program, or they are more of a transfer level student with like a junior level degree or junior level amount of credits before they do come here. So for the most part, very mature campus environment. Everyone is working towards their own specific career in healthcare at this point. So with that, there's 9 different areas of education here, and we do get to bring everyone together once a semester for what we call interprofessional education, or IPE, where you get to engage with students in all these other programs. And it's a really great way for you to learn about healthcare professions and how to work with patients from different cultures and backgrounds, and ultimately how to work as a team once you're employed in the healthcare system. So IPE is really the university's take at alleviating the current state of the healthcare system, which could use some improvement. It's often described as fragmented or uncoordinated. So we want to alleviate that for future generations of healthcare professionals, which is why we're exposing them to this broad spectrum of healthcare opportunities that your patients could be also partaking in addition to the services that you're providing them. So with that, we bring everyone together for sort of a group learning experience. In the past, we've done an emergency medicine Narcan training. We've also done a dementia simulation and a diabetes maintenance training. I think they recently or they're doing one next week or so about like spinal cord injuries, all kind of around the idea that no matter which profession you're a part of, you're going to be encountering patients who have maybe struggled with addiction or who come from diabetes or who have dementia. So just learning from your own area of expertise how you best can support your patients' overall health and wellness, and how your colleagues from these other areas are also able to support them. Because ultimately today, if you're dealing with a major medical issue, you're going to be working with a team of professionals. So that's something that we're trying to instill as early on into your career as possible. There's also going to be times where you're collaborating one-on-one with some other programs. So I'll leave it to our current students to maybe tell us about a time that they've collaborated with another program at during their time here at MCPHS. If you can think of any.
Okay, I'll go first. So Dhruvi and I recently did a presentation for, it was an IP event, so we're collaborating with pharmacy and physical therapy, and it was basically targeted towards older adults on the risks of falls and falls awareness. So we were working with one of our faculty members, and we were two of the speakers from optometry, and the other two programs also had speakers. So we were able to deliver a really nice and informative presentation on things that cause falls that are in the realms of like our individual programs and how to prevent those falls. And it was very well received, and it was very enlightening to work with those other programs to see how they serve the same patient that we would. And I like that MCPHS provides that opportunity for us to get a glance into other health professionals. So
Yeah, as Dalasha mentioned, it was a really great opportunity to learn not only what your profession gives you, but what other professions also does in the same case scenario. So with that presentation, we also had something called opioid crisis training, where different profession students were met at a table, and we discussed throughout the case where like what each professions are concerned of, and like trying to like work together and take out what's best for patients. It's just really nice opportunity to learn about different professions as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing those. There will be times when you'll get to collaborate like one-on-one with specific programs, as well as have a specific IPE catered event where you're working with, the community as a whole. But ultimately, we do have a lot of opportunities available for you there to do some, learning across disciplines. But what is fun too is that several of our programs have on-campus clinics. So not only do we have an active optical store and eye and vision center here in Worcester, but we also have an active physical therapy clinic, dental hygiene clinic, and acupuncture clinic. So it is nice to take advantage of that while you're a student, maybe get your teeth cleaned or try out some acupuncture while you can. So definitely feel free to take care of those and take care of yourself and help your student body out in the meantime. All right, so kind of getting into our meat and potatoes here, talking about our Doctor of Optometry program specifically. So we are a fall start program. We launch a new cohort once a year, which is every September. This is a 4-year program, and it does run continuously throughout the summer. One thing that we really pride ourselves on is having some small class sizes. We are less than half the size of some of the other optometry schools out there with 64 students per year. We like that number because it breaks down really nicely into 16 students per lab. Here, you're not just another name on a roster, as cliche as it is to say, but our faculty really go above and beyond to build a sense of community here and get to know you for your own unique sets of passions and really what drives you and your background and everything that comes with that. So with that, they really do custom tailor the education to suit who you are and ultimately what you're looking to achieve in the future there. Our students do have a unique opportunity to pursue a buy one, get one deal for a Master of Public Health that they'll complete simultaneously through the program. It doesn't start until year 2, and it just adds one additional online course per semester to your curriculum, and it is an asynchronous course through MCPHS Online. And with that, you usually get your assignments at the beginning of the week, and you have until Sunday midnight typically to submit everything. Now I think I heard that both of you are actually doing the dual degree option, which you must have just started this semester. How has that been with juggling all the other responsibilities that I know that you two have in addition to being a student?
Okay, so I'll go first. So actually, we started the dual degree program. You start in the summer semester of your first year, which is basically your third semester. And usually you're doing one course per year. It's just like for us, I think like we made a schedule that like, okay, we have to do school things, we have to do MPH things, we have to do like extracurriculars and like have some time for ourselves. Like, but if OD MPH dual degree is something you are planning to do, it's definitely manageable with like balancing your optometry schedule as well.
Yeah, it's
I
definitely. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say I agree with Dhruvi. It seemed a little daunting at first doing 2 degrees, especially with how busy optometry gets, but it is very doable. And I'm sure if anyone is interested, they're able to get information once they come to campus, or I'm sure like they'd be able to connect with us at some point, and we're happy to answer questions.
Awesome. Thank you guys. And it is a really great degree option for those of you who might be considering going into like education one day or access and advocacy. So definitely make sure that you are, taking full advantage if that is a potential for where you'd want to steer your career. So in addition to that, I do want to point out some stats at the bottom of the slide here, kind of just regarding our residency match rate. So most recently, we've seen a 25% match rate to an optometric residency for our students that have gone on to, apply to residency programs. So of course, to become an optometrist, you don't necessarily have to do a residency, but a residency can lead to really great opportunities to working in a specialty or teaching or working in a VA. Because it really hyper accelerates your resume. And with that, we really attribute that to how comprehensive our clinical education has been with getting students, successfully matched with these residencies, because ultimately that's what those residencies are looking for, is the strongest clinicians possible. And we're advantageous in that we have a extremely diverse patient population. So our students do get exposed to a wide variety of ocular disease and conditions so early on into the program, and they even start seeing patients as soon as their 4th semester in the program. So all of that does contribute into that success rate that we've seen with the residency. But now with this, I'd love to kind of take us through each year of the program so you can better understand what you can expect as a student. So let's have Dhruvi take us through year 1 and 2, if you don't mind, and Delasha, if you could take us through years 3 and 4, which I know you have not yet completed years 3 and 4, but at least to the best of your ability, describe what you expect to expect once you get to that point. So Dhruvi, would you mind kicking us off?
Yes, of course. So the first year is a really foundational year where you're mostly sitting in classrooms taking on that foundational like basic science, optics, biochem and stuff. You spend majority of your time in classroom, but you also have labs with it. So you have OTM labs. So in these labs, you learn skills which will be helpful in clinic when you see actual patients. All our lectures are recorded as well. So before the exam, it really gives us opportunity to like look back at the lectures and relearn the materials. I also want to highlight in the first year, as early as first year, we have started to see how the clinic experience looks like. So we have gotten multiple opportunities where we can shadow the upper years in the clinic itself and what's being done in the patient care. Now, coming on to the second year, again, you are spending some time in classroom as well, but now you also start clinic. In the clinic, preceptors like Dr. Beige is my preceptor right now. We are seeing patients on everyday basis, and like those skills you learn in OTM is really helpful. And now you can actually apply your skills and clinical basis and come with like treatment and plan while you're also studying for your other courses.
Great. I do just want to take us back to year one real quick, because one thing that I also wanted to mention, oops, went a little too far, with year one, kind of newer to our program, is the Jumpstart program. As you can see the logo here. This is new to this year, as we recently implemented a 6-session Jumpstart program for our new students that really equips them with the tools that they need for a successful and smooth transition into the curriculum. So it gets you really warmed up with some proper study techniques and just gives you some expectations that you can keep in your back pocket as you progress. So just wanted to note that. All right, Delasha, take us away on year 3.
Okay, so year 3 is where we really start to ramp it up with both patient care and specialties within optometry. So we're really fortunate to have a fully functioning eye clinic, literally an elevator ride down. So this clinic has all of the specialties within optometry. We do glaucoma, ocular disease, vision therapy, contact lenses, vision rehab, pediatrics, and everything. So third year is essentially when you start to get into the really nitty-gritty of the specialty clinics. We're doing this alongside didactics, but third year is a little bit less didactic because we're also preparing for our boards at the same time. But we also start to go out into clinics that are off campus, and there we have a bit more autonomy as the years sort of progress. So I'd say third year is where they really start to ramp up the clinical education, because at this point we have first year where we've done all the skills that we needed to in lab on each other, on our classmates. There's second year where we've kind of been guided through by our preceptors on regular primary care exams, and then third year where we're doing a little bit more specialized skills essentially. And then fourth year is entirely just patient care. So in our fourth year, we go out into 3 different rotations. So they're each 4 months, and you have to do a community health center and a VA facility, but the third one can be elective based on what your interests are, because at this point you've seen everything that is out there essentially, so you can kind of pick and choose what you want to do with that third elective. But the fourth year is just completely patient care, and obviously you're studying for your boards part 2 and 3, but you're not taking any more courses at that point. So absolutely, MCPHS provides a great clinical experience because we are one of the few schools that see patients as early as we do. And like Hannah mentioned, this is a sanctuary city, so we're seeing a wide variety of patients here with tons of disease, and yeah, it's great.
Thank you guys so much. I just want to take us back a little bit to talk a little bit more about the national boards preparation that we have. So starting in year 3, you'll see that that is when you can expect to take part 1 of the national board exams. So to prepare students for that, they do participate in a boards review course, and they'll also have access to additional review material. So we have seen our most recent scores be right in line with the national average at that, as that boards review course has definitely helped tremendously over the last couple of years here. Then once we get into year 4, that's when you can prepare to start taking parts 2 and 3 of the national board exam. We have a Blackboard organization with different test prep material for part 2, including case questions and various practice exams. And then once you get to part 3, which is more of a hands-on practical skills exam, we have an entire room that we established that contains identical equipment to what students will encounter when they take that exam in person in North Carolina. So you do have to go to North Carolina for that in-person exam, and that's for all schools across the country. So we have students assigned there to help prepare them for the skill stations with faculty or preceptors to help them through these different cases. So they start rotating through this room in year 3 to help them prepare for the exam in year 4. So with that, we have a pretty robust offering of facilities available to us right at our fingertips. And I think it'd be great if Dr. Beisch could kind of take us through, what it's like on campus in our various clinic spaces and all the tools that we have available to our students. Oh, you're on a mute. Sorry, Dr. Beisch.
Should know by now. We're very proud of the fact that we have state-of-the-art equipment and instrumentation here at MCPHS, and we're continually updating it and continually acquiring the newest technology. We have fully equipped exam lanes, and we have special testing like OCT, fundus photography, wavefront aberrometry, ultrasound. We also have advanced therapeutics like laser surgery and other modalities. We have a wonderful low vision department that's very well equipped, both in terms of personnel. Our faculty for low vision are wonderful, and in terms of the instrumentation that they demonstrate to the patients. We also have, in addition to our EVC, our Eye and Vision Center at MCPHS, we have our satellite clinics, which are equally equipped. You'll just get tremendous between our equipment facilities and our faculty teaching you. We have an incredible patient base where you will learn a huge spectrum of clinical care. And really, they always say that what you get out of optometry school is what you put into it, and you have unlimited access and resources here.
Absolutely. And also, I know Dhruvi, had mentioned that, maybe it was Delasha, you mentioned that in year 3, you start going through our community health centers. So I do want to just mention where those are located if you are a Massachusetts resident yourself or happen to know Massachusetts geography quite well. One of the things that we do offer is those 3 community health centers, the Edward M. Kennedy Community Health Centers. We have another one in Worcester outside of our own on-campus clinic, as well as one in Framingham and a newer one in Milford as well. Now, there are also a lot of research opportunities available for students who do want to get involved. And who better to talk about this than Dr. Larry Beisch? Would you mind sharing about some of the opportunities that are available if students do want to get involved in research?
Sure. We're always looking for students to help us with our faculty research. And in addition, MCPHS is great about providing mini research grants for students who want to do their own research. What they would do is get together with a faculty mentor and design a research project and write one of these mini grants, which are very easy to submit. And you'll get funding for your research project. And it's a great thing to have on your resume if you are interested in research, academia, pursuing research, or being in the corporate arena, like working for one of the ophthalmic manufacturers. It's a tremendous thing to do. We have a growing research program. We're doing a number of different clinical trials for device companies. We have our own faculty research in the faculty members area of research, and we're doing everything from lasers to virtual reality to new telehealth technologies. There's really a great variety. In addition, Hannah had talked about IPE, interprofessional education and collaboration, and we've got a number of projects going with other schools here at MCPHS. We have a research project going on at the School of Public Health to develop a patient database, one with the occupational therapy department. one of the things that's changed in optometry is we used to have optometry technicians that do the therapy for low vision, patient with brain injuries, children with vision therapy who need vision therapy. But more and more occupational therapists are getting involved and working with optometry, and they concentrate on those areas of therapy, and that's become a big advancement. But we're also doing a research project with them, looking at how low vision aids allow elderly patients with certain types of retinal problems to distinguish their medicines from each other. It's a specific study that we're doing here. So there's a lot going on, and you can get involved. Your time is definitely precious here at the school, but those who can arrange their schedule to do this research find it very, very rewarding.
Absolutely. I've heard of a lot of unique things that have come through our doors, and it always amazes me what's going on just downstairs. All right. So with that, hopefully this all sounds exciting to you and you are thinking about submitting an application. So with that, I want to give you some details on how you can apply. So first things first is you have to start with an application through OptumCast. If you're not familiar with OptumCast, it's a centralized application system. It will be sort of like the Common App if you used that to apply to your undergraduate institution. So it ties everything up into a nice bow and sends it off to all the schools that you're applying to in one go. So it does make for a pretty seamless transition there. With that, you should be submitting all of your transcripts to OptumCast. Even if you took a couple courses at a community college one summer, we will still need that official transcript. So to prevent delaying your application, you should definitely make sure that everything is sent in to OptumCast at the same time. We don't necessarily require a bachelor's degree, but it is preferred. If you don't plan on completing a bachelor's degree prior to entry, we do at least need 90 credits before you do start the program, with many of those being the required prerequisites, of course. And then for GPA, we look for a 3.0 GPA and above, preferably. And we're going to look at not only your overall GPA, but also your total science GPA. And one thing to note is that OptumCast will calculate a true cumulative GPA for you, meaning that if your school happened to participate in GPA forgiveness, they might have omitted some of the grades that you repeated, taking the higher grade and dropping the lower grade. OptumCast will take all attempts of that course, so your GPA could, as a result, end up being a little bit lower than you anticipated. So just wanted to point that out so there's no surprise. We do also require a standardized test. Typically, we accept the OAT, which is the optometry admissions test, or the GRE. We also are open to accepting the MCAT or the DIT as another alternative type of standardized test. So we'll accept those on a case-by-case basis. But no matter which test you're looking to submit, they should be within the 50th percentile range. So for the OAT, we're really looking for scores in the 300 and above range. I would say the OAT is more the preferred test just because it is specifically designed for optometry applicants. We do also need one letter of recommendation, although we recommend 2 to 3. And it should be professional in nature. So with that, it should be from a academic advisor or science professor who knows you quite well and can kind of speak to your academic performance, or a manager or supervisor who can speak to your work ethic. And if you're even able to get one from an optometrist, that's also great. We don't necessarily require any experience. The experience is not necessarily going to make or break your application, but I do strongly encourage it ahead of your interview, just because it really betters your ability to speak to your passions for optometry, having observed an optometrist and better understanding their day-to-day responsibilities at that. So if you haven't yet gotten any experience, shadowing is a great place to start. Otherwise, we do get a lot of applicants who've worked as like a tech or even as a receptionist in an optometry office. So definitely look into obtaining those if you can. If you have completed any international coursework outside of study abroad, of course, we do need a international transcript evaluation through World Education Services. So this will essentially translate your coursework into a US equivalency so we can see if we can take any transfer credit. And you are welcome to apply with any courses in progress. We do need any outstanding coursework done by August 15th before you start the program. And our course requirement is a C or higher. A complete list of our prerequisite requirements can be found on our website. Pretty straightforward with the offerings, physics 1 and 2, general chemistry 1 and 2, organic chemistry, microbiology, calculus, statistics, some English courses, and psychology. I think I named them all, but you can double check yourself on our website if you want to make sure that you have all those courses complete. And if you do meet our minimum if you meet our minimum requirements, you will be invited to an interview. We offer interviews in person and virtually, so you can choose whichever delivery works well for you. So we are still reviewing applications for our fall of 2025 start term with a deadline of May 1st. The biggest thing I can encourage you to do is to apply early. We are still, planning on conducting interviews into May, but there is a chance that our cohort could fill ahead of our deadline, which is why we do encourage candidates to consider applying early. And we determine competitive applications by the GPA. Again, we're looking at not only your cumulative GPA and your total science GPA, but also your prerequisite GPA. So those should all be above a 3.0 preferably. With that, the prerequisite GPA is something that we calculate ourselves. So we will take the highest grade earned in that specific prerequisite course and compound that ourselves. We do also want to see that you have an interest or passion for optometry, which you can express to us through the supplemental questions, your personal statement, as well as with your letters of recommendation, if you've especially had any experience in the field. And the timing of the application is also important. Again, we start to fill seats pretty quickly, so the sooner you can get it in, the better. But we will still have seats in the spring if you're looking to submit an application in the spring, so don't worry too much about that. In terms of financial aid, all domestic students are eligible to apply to the FAFSA. With that, our school code is listed there. If you want to jot it down, we can easily Google it in the future if you do happen to need it. It is the same for all of our campuses. So if it happens to say like MCPHS Boston, it's the same for Worcester as well. Our website does detail all of our different tuition and fees. So with that, you can get some transparency on how much the program is slated to cost you. But we do give merit scholarships to everyone that is admitted into the program. So there will be something for everyone. You'll get that right when you get your acceptance letter. There will also be a scholarship letter attached with it. We give merit awards up to $12,000 a year for domestic students and up to $15,000 a year for our Canadian applicants. That being because the exchange rate in Canada is a little tricky right now. So we try to throw you a bone there to make it a bit more attainable for you. But all that being said, we are open to having need-based conversations, especially if that ends up being a barrier to your enrollment here. We're happy to see what we can do to make this possible for you to attend optometry school with us. So with that, as you're going through the application process, I'd be happy to help with any questions like that that may be important to you. And I just realized I didn't mention this piece too, so I just want to go back to this real quick. To be clear, the WES evaluation here is not for Canadian applicants. It's only for outside of the US and Canada. So I just wanted to point that out. If we have any attendees from Canada, I don't need you to do a WES evaluation. Don't waste your money, please. But anyone outside of the US and Canada that has completed international coursework, please do plan on completing an evaluation for us. All right, so that really wraps up our presentation. So if you happen to have any final questions, now is a really great time to submit those in the Q&A section of the screen here. But just a couple last tidbits on this slide, which I'll actually share all of these links in the chat if you want to take them with you. If you ever find yourself in Massachusetts, we would love to give you a tour, and I'll share our tour calendar with you here. We are also having an open house tomorrow. So if you visit the mcphs.edu/visit/graduate page, we have a open house scheduled for tomorrow, which is Thursday, November 14th, from 4:30 to 8 p.m. So if you're free tomorrow evening, we'd love to invite you to join us for some refreshments and some demos and a chance to meet our faculty and our current students. Dr. Beish, Dhruvi, and Delasha will be there, so you'll get the chance to meet them. But regardless of that, if you don't happen to live near us, we do have a virtual tour that is available. I wouldn't say that it's the most comprehensive on optometry, so I'd actually point you towards our YouTube channels if you're looking to get some more content on the School of Optometry. So that is at MCPHS TV and at MCPHS Admissions. And you can also hang on to my contact info, as I will be the one that is working with you from now until matriculation, if all goes well. So if you happen to have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out. I promise I don't bite. All right, so getting on to our questions that have come through. One of the questions was, what is the average GPA, OAT, and GRE score of applicants? So I did actually calculate all of this for our most recent incoming class that started this fall. The average GPA was about a 3.3, and the OAT was a 310 academic average. And the GRE score, we didn't have many that took the GRE. I don't remember the exact number, but it was above a 150. All right, looks like you guys typed a lot of answers for me, so thank you for that. I took care of a lot of them. I suppose while we wait for a couple more to get in, I will pose a couple questions to our current students. So Dhruvi and Delasha, I know you guys are joining us from Canada, and actually the other side of Canada, not the east coast of Canada. Why did you guys ultimately decide to choose MCPHS?
I can go first. We actually answered this question, but for me, it was 3 reasons. So me and Dilasha actually went to the same undergrad university. We didn't know each other at the time, but it was a very big university. And in one class, we would have like 200 to 300 students. So for me, that small class size really mattered to me, where like I can build the one-on-one connection with the professors and just have that opportunity to know the professors and stuff. So that's what really mattered to me. And also when I researched the area around Booster, it seemed pretty safe compared to the other schools I was applying. And the biggest factor was just the response back I was getting from MCPHS. Like admission steps, no matter what questions I had, MCPHS, like people like Hannah and admissions team were amazing to replying, answering my questions as fast as I can, getting in touch with like right people if I had questions about them. So just the response back. These were the factors I chose MCPHS.
Fabulous. Anything to add, Delasha?
I would probably say the exact same thing she did, but a little bit differently. But yeah, same university. Our lecture theaters used to be of capacity with like 500 people. I never saw my professor. I don't even know what some of my professors look like, because we're seeing it from all the way up there, right? But now, see, I know what Dr. Bates looks like, so that's one. And then two, again, this is because of you, Hannah. It's just people like you that we work throughout the admissions process. The other faculty member, Dr. D'Amico, that I did my interview with, it just felt like a conversation. And I felt like I was wanted at the school, and that every effort was made along every way to make sure that I attend the school, despite all the barriers that kind of came up along the way. And it's very far. If we were to drive home right now, it would take us about 40 hours, but it's all been worth it. Everything that I thought about the school before coming here has been true. The professors have been amazing. The class has been amazing. So yeah, what Dhruvi said.
Thank you very much. Good feedback. Love to hear it. So it looks like we had a couple other questions come in the meantime. One of the questions asked what our typical number of applicants we receive each year is, and I actually just pulled up last year's data so I can get you the best info, but we had over 500 applications last year, so pretty hefty amount there. So our acceptance rate was something like 33%. So yeah, it is a pretty competitive program towards the end of the day. Another question asks about licensing requirements that are needed to practice in Canada after completing the program in the States. Dhruvi and Dalasha, do you have any insight on this?
Sure. I will go first. It depends on what part of Canada you're from. So there are two different boards that you can take. There's the NBAO, which is the American version of the boards, and there's the Canadian version of the boards. So the American version has 3 parts and the Canadian has 2 parts. I believe as of now, and I don't know if that's going to change by your time, as of now, Ontario and BC is accepting the American boards and every other province requires you to take the Canadian boards. However, in the past, what people have done is they have taken the American boards, and they have practiced or established themselves as a doctor, like they've gotten their license in either Ontario or BC and then transferred that license to Alberta, for example. So that has worked for a lot of people for the past few years, but I have heard whispers recently about whether that may or may not be true anymore. So it just really depends on what point of time you're writing your boards on, and I don't think it's necessarily set in stone, but the safest way to go would be to just take Canadian boards. But at the same time, there's very few people that take both Canadian and American boards because boards are expensive. But that is, I think that's what we know, right, Dhruvi?
Yeah, I think you covered everything. And then throughout like the boards prep as well, like towards the 3rd years and 4th years, we also get like resources to connect with the Canadian optometrists and get a view from like their view as to what they did. So it's like nice opportunity. Like you're not alone in this figuring out kind of which boards to take.
Great, thank you both for that insight.
And sorry, I was gonna add one more thing. We have a lot of Canadians here, so like Dhruvi said, you're not alone. Like I think a third of our class is Canadian, and I think almost a third of the current first years are also Canadian. So every other person you see is going to be Canadian. So we're all in this together and we'll all figure it out.
Absolutely. Thank you, guys. Another question came in, which I think might be better suited for Dr. Beish, perhaps. The question asks about the percentage of students that tend to be interested in either behavioral or neuro-optometry. I don't think we have statistics on this, but could you speak to, perhaps a group of students that are interested in this area?
It's really hard to say. I'm not really sure what is meant by interested, or if they're students that have as a career goal to be in neuro-optometry or behavioral optometry or vision therapy or pediatrics. It is a high number, especially well, there are residencies and there are some of our externships specialize in those areas. I'll confess to you that that's not my area, but we have a very large and expert behavioral and neuro-optometry area. We deal with everything from pediatrics to special populations of developmentally delayed patients, mentally disabled patients, children that just have binocular vision or eye movement disorders for learning. But it's a significant part of our curriculum, and it's a significant number of our students. I'd actually defer to Dhruvi and Dalasha for that. Do you have any feelings about that?
Yeah, I am personally interested in I was interested coming into optometry school just based on the experiences I had in private practice, low vision. But now that I've learned a little bit more about neuro rehab, I recently attended the Optometry Academy conference, and I like it's very difficult to say that you like a specific thing coming into optometry school. I think you need to see more of it to be able to answer definitively that this is what you're into. And I'm still not at the stage where I can say that I definitely like this definitively because we haven't done specialty clinics yet. But that being said, I know a few people in my class that are interested in neurooptometry and BV specifically, but we don't, it's a little too early in our education for us to be having those conversations, I think.
Well, one of the great things about optometry is that you go in thinking you're going to be something and leaving doing something completely different very often. So that's one of the great things about uh, third year as you learn, go into the specialty clinics and contact lenses, low vision, pediatrics, behavioral, neurooptometry, low vision. And in addition, we have such a variety. I believe we now have 68, 69 available externships of different kinds. If you want to concentrate on neurooptometry, you can do that. If you want to practice that concentrates on glaucoma, cataract, and refractive surgery, you can do that. Work in an ODMD clinic. If you work at, you're going to work at a VA in one of your externships, and that has a huge variety of different specialties within that. So you'll have a great chance and great opportunities.
Thank you all. Hopefully that helped to answer your question there. Definitely, there are people interested in neuro-optometry here. All right, so final question of the night is just asking about the overall cost of attending MCPHS. I'm actually going to share our tuition and fees page in the chat there, so if you wanted to browse that yourself. But the current price of the program is $51,270 per academic year. Again, everyone is considered for a merit-based scholarship upon acceptance, so that does discount that tuition price by some drastic amount there, as we give awards up to $12,000 a year if you're a domestic student, or $15,000 a year if you're a Canadian applicant. So, all right. Well, thank you everyone for taking the time to chat with us this evening. Hopefully we answered all of your questions there, but if there is anything left on your mind, feel free to send me an email or even give me a call. I'm happy to help. And we hope to, see your application here in the future. And thank you to our students and Dr. Beish for taking the time out of their very busy schedules to be with us here tonight. Best of luck on midterms, Dhruvi and Dalasha. And take care, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Ask questions. We'll give them
Bye.
to you.